Been waiting all morning, so, and I appreciate y'all's indulgence. There's a lot of confusion what this bill does. This bill is about our records. It's about our vital records. Vital records are things that are passed down from generation to generation. It's how we figure genealogy. It's how we figure medical records. It's how we determine kind of the roots of our society. What this bill does and what this bill doesn't do seems to have confusion. This bill does not go to try to direct how people live their lifestyle and how they choose to identify. What this bill does say is that our state records on birth certificates are issued at birth, and birth certificates, thus the title birth certificate, have to do with your genetic code, how you're born. Our birth certificates will have either male or female, and that will be filled in at the time of birth. There are a few genetic disorders that at birth makes it very difficult to determine that. And there's one that's not included on there that I will be hoping to get amended if this goes through on the Senate end, and that our Surgeon General contacted me today on. And that was one where it appears a child has a genetic disorder where they appear to be female, but during puberty that it's determined that they're male. So outside of that, and outside of the few exclusions where there are genetic disorders, we know at the time of birth if this person is male or female. Pardon me. So if you look at the bill, it's very simple. It's 4 or 5 paragraphs long, and it says outside of a disorder that we're going to issue a birth certificate, it's going to say male or female, and if they have a genetic disorder, then most parents are trying, if they have a child with a disorder, most of them are trying to decide how they're going to raise that child. And most of the time they try to do that earlier rather than later so that child can start early in life identifying how they're going to be raised. And this bill says by the 5th birthday that they are going, parents will, on those disorders, will determine what that's going to be. And then it says after that that we won't change birth certificates outside of those exclusions, that we don't change birth certificates. Now, let's discuss the practicalities. Here's the practicalities. There's a fiery car wreck on I-40. The body is burned beyond recognition. Bad fire. We send that body to the crime lab. The crime lab is going to determine, is it a male or female? Why? Because there's a genetic code. Every one of us are born with a genetic code. And what this bill does, it says our birth certificates will reflect our genetic code. 100 years from now, when they dig up my body, they will be able to tell my genetic code. They cannot tell how I chose to identify myself. You know, if tomorrow I decide I want to get a loan and I can get a better loan if I'm a 67-year-old Hispanic female, do I then get to decide that I can change what my birth certificate says? So all this says is our birth certificate is going to reflect what our biological makeup is. And you know, we have other issues right now. What happens in our prison system if a guy wakes up, he's raping a lot of women, he wakes up one day and says, I've decided that I want my birth certificate to say that I'm female. Are we going to now house him at the female prison so we don't discriminate him? Yes, we have to. Do we put him in a cell all by himself? We can't do that. That's discrimination. How many babies will we birth out of our prisons? There are some things that need to be set down in concrete, and this is one of those things by which we as a society say this is a birth certificate. If we need other identifiers, if we need other certificates, let's do that. But people have, a society has a right to determine what we are going to recognize, and a birth certificate should be exactly that. It's an identifier of what someone is at birth, and that's what this bill does. I'll be happy to take any questions.